History has no beginning, neither does anthropology. From this seemingly endless continuum, there emerged a filmmaker who attempted to blend her art with these more scholarly pursuits. Her name was Robin Redbreast, and her fascination with the identifying, ordering, and cataloging, or filming of human existence had been an ongoing project. She didn't believe in the objectivity of the image, the neutrality of the camera. She didn't believe that the emulsion should be restricted to one interpretation of the subject, properly colored and perfectly timed. In using film, she thought, one should work with the characteristics of the material of film itself, and how it reacts not only to light, but to chemicals, to age, to the process. She was looking for a new kind of reflexivity, one that not only included the epistemological strategies of the filmmaker in the structuring of the work, but in the very surface of the celluloid. She wanted a presence that was deeper than the screen. In her grief at the death of a loved one, Robin Redbreast attempted the isolation and categorization of the human experiences of safety and death. Her idea was to access a broad spectrum of people across a very narrow bandwidth in an attempt to classify and thus know the topic. The following is a collection of her images and interviews, cataloging her influences and attempting to make clear her intentions.
My first question is, are you safe?
Yeah, I think I am. And should I say why? I think I'm safe because sometimes I get scared of stuff, but other times I think I'm fine and I'm safe, and not much can really happen when you're in your house or when you're outside, but somebody could do something, but it's very rare for where we live.
So where you live makes you feel safe?
Yeah.
The filmmaker had been inspired by a painter, An Kawara, who only painted self-portraits, which were devoid of any self-analysis, physical likeness, idealization, spontaneity, feeling, or recollection. In short, they were paintings of dates. An Kawara completed each date painting entirely on the day that it represented and subtitled it with an event from that date. On November 30th, 1967, just 3 days after the birth of our filmmaker, An Kawara's date painting was subtitled, "A new form of the genetic material, DNA, that determines the hereditary characteristics of living beings has been discovered."
Am I safe? I think I am. I think I grow up in, a pretty well-off family. I go to a very nice school. I guess I could say I'm pretty sheltered from most of the world because I have never truly been in an experience where I've had to fend for my own. So
Redbreast's other influence was an anthropologist of visual communication named Ray Birdwhistell. He believed that gesture is a learned, culturally specific form of communication that is patterned and can be broken down into discrete elements. Birdwhistell spent his career analyzing body motion and developing a complex notation system with which to record it.
first question.
I can't remember the first question.
Can't remember the first question? Okay. Are you safe?
Definitely not safe.
You're not safe?
I'm not safe.
Why not?
Because the world isn't a safe place. It's frightening and uncertain. Anyone who thinks they're safe is probably fooling themselves.
What does being safe mean to you?
Well, I mean, in some ways, safety is like stasis and death, right? I mean, it implies a kind of security and solidity in the world. So it's probably better not to be safe. Are you safe?
Just a second, I'm going to make sure your camera's safe.
Robin Redbreast collected data of her subjects' perception of their own presence, something like a taxonomist of the human experience of being. She isolated, killed, and stuffed these moments in an attempt to understand and preserve them.
Myself? In what sense? Just
Well, whatever you sense safety means, whatever safety means to you.
not very safe.
Not very safe.
No. So you want me to explain, I guess? Well, kind of like in this situation, I kind of, because my future is kind of vague, because I kind of have to think about like what I'm gonna do, like staying in U.S. or like maybe going back to Japan. I talked to my mom very recently. She kind of want me to come back and stuff, and those kind of things, I guess.
A famous filmmaker once said, "The cinematic world after the fall is a constant retrieval of prelapsarian desire." Ankawara used to send telegrams to his friends from faraway places with the portentous announcement, "I am still alive."
Am I safe? God, I knew you'd ask a question like this. Okay, let's see. Am I safe? Physically, yes. Mentally, no. Why am I not safe? That's probably what you want to know too? Okay. I'm not safe because I'm in a period of transition. I'm returning, but I really don't have a place to return to. And normally I don't mind this period of liminality, but I guess I'm getting older. So it would be nice to have, have a place to return to, have a job to return to, have a group of people to return to, but I don't have this time. So it's going to be completely different. And that's why I don't feel safe or secure.
Ray Birdwhistle said, "We are concerned with asking whether or not given events can occur together, in parallel or in series, in some kind of repetitive order. We are not, in this sense of timing, attempting to place the data in calendrical or horological frames. We are attempting to isolate the structure of continua."
I feel safe in, I think, what is the most common way we think of being safe, which is safe from physical harm, safe from crime, that kind of physical safety. For the most part, yeah, I feel safe. But then there's a lot of other ways to think about safe. I have this idea that I'm sturdy in terms of my health and that probably I will live to be old. So I don't feel personally particularly vulnerable, but I'm at an age where I've seen a lot of other people who I thought weren't vulnerable be attacked with fatal diseases. So the reality that that can happen is very real to me. And I think there's nothing I can do to control getting cancer, basically. I mean, it could happen. Somebody I love died of brain cancer, and I don't know why he died, why he got it. And that I don't know that I wouldn't be attacked by a cancer, but I don't really think it will happen to me. I don't feel, so I feel safe in that regard. And then there's emotional. The only way I would feel unsafe, or I do sometimes feel unsafe emotionally, is by getting depressed. And there are times when things look very black to me. And luckily, my own internal constitution seems to be such that I can overcome depression, or it passes, it just passes. But I had a brother who was manic depressive and who killed himself. So the reality of succumbing to that kind of vulnerability is also real to me. But I think for the most part I'm okay. So on the whole, yes. Long answer.
Ankawara said, "The only way we know things is to examine them at the edges. Defining units of time depends on establishing edges."
First question I'd like to ask you is, are you safe?
No. Is that a good answer? I suppose you want me to elaborate on that a little bit. Why am I not safe? I don't have a partner. I don't feel safe without a partner.
What does it mean to feel safe?
I think being safe, you have a feeling of wholeness and everything is fine, and you can rely on another person to bounce things off of, and not feel unsafe when you speak to someone. I have a real problem with not having someone that I'm intimate with to talk to about things that I see and do and enjoy, and feeling safe. When I say I don't feel safe, is that I don't have that ability right now.
Redbreast was intrigued by humans' desire for symmetry. Is it a biological need imposed and reinforced by the body's insistent pairing, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 hands? Or is it learned, a way to fill the longing of what we lost being born?
The other question that I wanted to ask you is, will you die happy?
I don't know. I suppose if I were to die right now, there would be two things going on in my mind when you ask me that question. If I died right now, I might be happy because then I'm through this heartbreak and anguish that's going on right now. However, if I continue to live, which I presume that I'm going to be allowed to, I will probably try and find some way to be happy again. I've done a lot of things in my life, and I don't know what dying means, so I don't know that if I can really answer that question, that I'm going to be happy when I die.
Right.
Or die happy.
Will you be happy when you die? That's the same thing. It's not will you be happy that you die, but will you be happy when you die?
Well, the way I answered the first time, I'd probably be happy if I would die now.
Right.
Changes in light lead to changes in thought. Robin Redbreast used 20-year-old film to shoot these interviews. She wanted the viewer to think about the transience of human existence. She wanted the viewer to think about the intangibility of light. She wanted the viewer to think about the delicate yet resilient nature of both people and film, and about the shadows they both leave.
Happy is, that's so hard to answer simply, and I couldn't say yes. There's no way I could predict. The best I can do is that I think I have a chance of dying in a relatively satisfied manner in terms of living up to my hopes about how I could manage my life, or at least some of it, that the things that I feel I have control over, I've tried to take control over, and I've been pretty conscious of working on that. Where I didn't think I had control, I've tried hard to attain it, and or at least to work on it, so that I'm not left at the mercy of disappointments inflicted by outside forces. But it's something I've thought about, and I think about a lot, about the meaning of a whole life and what you'll feel like at the end of a whole life. And when I'm very interested in other people's whole lives and how I can see what kind of meaning they had. The idea of giving meaning to a life is very, very important to me, and there's nothing more important. So I think more in terms of meaning than happiness. Yeah, that sounds like we ran out of something.
We ran out of film.
What Robin Redbreast, Ray Birdwhistle, and An Kawara have in common is a perceptual strategy, a tracing and retracing of the grid. This is a diagram Ray Birdwhistle designed to illustrate the regularities between certain spoken words and body movements. See how the subject gestures behind himself when discussing the past, and in front when discussing present and future action.
Will I die happy? Yes, I will die happy. I will die happy because I always, that's why my life is so difficult, because I try to figure out what I really want to do. And when I have figured out what I really want to do, I'm channeling all my energy into trying to do this and to accomplish this and to achieve it. And it may not last for a very long period of time, or it may last, I don't know. But since I'm always trying to do this, then I imagine when I die, I don't have to look back on my life and say, gee, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. So in that respect, yes, I will die a happy person.
Ankawara wrote two 10-volume series listing 1,000,000 years apiece. The first, beginning in 998,031 BC and ending in 1969 AD, concerned the past 1,000,000 years and was subtitled For All Those Who Have Lived and Died. The second was an index of 1,000,000 years in the future and was subtitled For the Last One.
I hope so.
Robin's task was to record human experience, order it, and try to make sense out of the variety of chaos. Sort of like Darwin with his abnormalities. Of course, they failed on both counts. Darwin was a hack, and Robin was an optimist.
Oh, I thought the question was, am I happy?
No.
The question is, will I die happy?
Yeah.
Could you repeat the question?
Will you die happy?
You know, I think I distrust people who claim to be happy. So if I claim to be happy, or I claim that I'll die happy, I wouldn't trust myself. So I better say no, even though that sounds sad. No, I won't die happy.
Why does it sound sad?
Can I take it back? It sounds too sad. Yes, I'll die happy.
Why, how will you die happy?
This is so morbid. How will I die happy?
What will it mean to be able to die happy?
Well, nothing, because I'll be dead. I probably won't feel anything.
No, but it's as you're dying. Will you be happy?
I mean, even if I died tomorrow, I would have to say that despite the fact that I'm presently fairly unhappy, I've had a good life. I've laughed a lot. I've had very good friends. I've been very close to people. I've loved people. People have loved me. I would die happy. If that's what you mean.
I guess that's what I mean.
In Robin's attempt to capture the subject's experience of now, she was dislocating, fragmenting, and even mythologizing the present. As Ray Birdwhistle said,
the problem of working with films rests on 2 points. One is the assumption that perceptions are not culturally determined, or at least since Americans have no culture, they are not culturally determined. And number two, that film is a shortcut and a labor-saving device. I think nothing is less true.
Will you die happy?
I think I will. I mean, so far I've been having a pretty good life. So, I have high expectations for myself, and hopefully I can achieve all of those goals I set. But if I can't, I will still be content with myself and what I've done.
Robin Redbreast was seeking a straightforward and clear-cut version of the relations between life and death, between herself and another, between the present, the past, and the future. She situated herself between the kinds of abstraction of time and subjectivity that a social scientist would make and those of a conceptual artist, while concerning herself with materialist photography, attempting to make clear that which is film, the very surface of the object.
question I have is, will you die happy?
I think I will, because I don't think I'm gonna die killed. I think I'm gonna die like sick or something, because I'd rather die that way because it's less painful, and I'd be happy that way.
Okay, like as an old person?
Hmm.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit more kind of about that? Like what do you think about when you think about the life that's in front of you?
Well, I think that I have a while till I die, and I think that it's better dying old than young, because then you have a long life to live, and it's better that way. I think so.
Unfortunately for us viewers, in the end, all these experiments only continue to prove to Redbreast that experience is unbounded, indefinitely diverse, escaping categorization. When she realized she had failed in her goal of comprehension, she abandoned the art of anthropology and retired to a farm in her home state of Washington, where, to this day, she continues her experimentation on emulsion.
You have just watched and listened to portions of a presentation at the American Anthropological Association. In a sense, this has been an experimental film of experimental filming. Our original question was whether the presentation of conventionalized scenes from a variety of cultures could make a dramatic statement for my fellow scientists in such a situation as this, of cultural differences and similarities.